Keep yourself in the loop of everything football. Listen to Alex and Jeremiah on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello there, I'm Jeremiah.
I am Alex, always and forever here.
Dedicated to college and NFL football. The latest football news on and off the field. NFL draft trade rumors. We've got you covered from the NFL, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything else in between. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we discuss the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football, from the latest science dishes, breakout stars, and all the news in between. As always, guys, I'm Jeremiah.
And I am Alex.
And we're back here again after another week of action in the NFL and college football, actually.
Yeah, it was a good college football week for sure.
Yeah.
And definitely a good NFL week as well. I definitely like that stretch of games this weekend.
I did too.
And we're going to talk about it right now, and we're also going to talk Monday night in the second segment. And because we like to keep you guys on your toes, we're going to talk college football, as if that was a surprise. We're going to talk about the AP rankings, even though it's not as significant now that the college football playoff rankings are out, but those don't come out until tomorrow afternoon, so y'all have to wait till Wednesday to hear our sultry voices tell you what we think about it.
Man,
but
Wednesday is going to be a packed show because we got that. We got For Real, and then we got Why Left. So it's going to be a packed show on Wednesday.
And also tomorrow we'll probably talk about what we think the rankings might look like. So we got a packed week in general now that it's really getting to the nitty-gritty. But you mentioned Wide Left. This game I'm going to talk about first is something that I guarantee will be on a lot of people's
Steelers
versions of Wide Left.
Yeah,
Steelers, Ravens.
I was going to say, I was going to have that, but if you want to keep that for
No, I don't
left.
want. Actually, you know what? I do want it because I want to control how much it gets made fun of.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that. But anyways, the Ravens and the Steelers both moved to 4-4 after a 21-14 defeat of the Steelers in the hands of Baltimore. Ravens now at 4-4 have a hold on the AFC North. Ben Roethlisberger didn't play great to start the game. Kind of stats look a little better than it really was. 264 and a touchdown. This definitely wasn't a close game for them. It wasn't. It was 10-0 at halftime. The big thing was a 95-yard touchdown to Mike Wallace, 124 yards on 4 receptions. So if you take away that 95-yard catch, he didn't have a great game. That was really the big kind of difference in the game. If not, it would have been 3-0 at halftime, and it would have been 6-0 going into the fourth. The Steelers had 4 touchdowns, and they finally got their offense moving. Sorry, they had 2 touchdowns. 14 points in the fourth. Finally got their offense moving, but it was a little too late, and they just looked a little rusty coming out of the bye week. Of course, the moment I'm speaking of was a wacky, stupid onside kick. With the way yesterday's game was going. You call that
a kick?
Attempt. With the way yesterday's game was going, I don't get why they wanted to be cheeky about it, and when you think, well, what's the worst can happen? That's the worst that can happen, and I'm not surprised it happened with the way yesterday's game was going. So I'm past it. The Steelers are on to play the Cowboys, and the Ravens, I forget who they're moving on to play this weekend.
Oh, the Ravens play on Thursday Night Football against the Browns.
Thank you for reminding me of the Browns, who are currently still winless. And that moves us into our next game, the Cowboys facing the Browns. The Cowboys drummed them 35-10 in favor of the boys there, moving to 7-1 on the year, 4-0 on the road. Looking a little bit like the Raiders there, undefeated on the road.
We'll get to a little bit later.
Them a little later. The Browns, however, are winless on the road and at home, as they are still currently winless overall at 0-9. Dak Prescott, good game, 247-3. Ezekiel Elliott, good game, 92-2. Jason Witten, old man Witten, 134-1.
That was his first 100-yard receiving game since 2013. That's a while. But I got to bring this question to you, Alex, because Ben dropped this question to Anthony and I on Friday. Okay. He asked us, what will happen first? Tony Romo gets to see the field, or the Browns will get their first win?
Wow. Oh,
that's I picked the Browns to win the first win because there's no way I don't see Tony Romo making a start for the Cowboys.
But you've been saying pretty handedly that you said if the Browns would have won a game, they would have done it already.
I'm going to tell you my reasoning for it. I don't think any of these two things are going to happen this year. But if one of them were more likely to happen, I'll say the Browns win their game. So that means I don't see Tony Romo playing at all.
You don't see them. You don't see them in playoff contention, and it's time to rest their starters, and Romo gets some time.
No, well, like making a start.
Oh, well, you said see the field, so that confused me.
Yeah.
So a start. Okay, I understand.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with Tony Romo.
I'll tell you one thing about the NFL: it is unpredictable. I'll tell you that right now. Moving on to another game this weekend, and that is the Chiefs starting a different quarterback than Alex Smith for the first time since he showed up there in Kansas City, and that is Nick Foles, who won this game for them, 19-14 over the Chiefs. They moved to 6-2 on the year, 4-0 at home, and the Jaguars dropped to 2-6. Blake Bortles had a decent game, but again, king of garbage time, padding his stats to 252 and 2. Chris Ivory, a good game, 107 yards, but no scores for him. Nick Foles played well enough to get the win, about 100-something yards, or close to 200 yards and 1 touchdown. Not amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but he played well. The defense played well for sure. It got close there at the end, but they hung around and won that one, 187-1 there for Foles, as I mentioned.
And the Chiefs should be lucky that they were playing the Jaguars, because if they're playing any other team, they would have lost this game. They looked like crap the entire game.
They had offense. 4 players relatively. I'm excluding Foles' rushing yards. They had 4 players, including a wide receiver with 1 rush, but 4 players with 22 carries for only 62 yards as a team. You look at the Jaguars, and they had 205 as a team. So, yeah, I mean it's down. The Jaguars, they play these close games and they produce, and they still unfortunately lose. You have the first player of the year to get ejected for a 2 personal foul flag rule, and that was Travis Kelce, who received them both in the same play for arguing with the referee. But we saw the return of Niall Davis.
We did. And
he got 3 carries for 10 yards, looking just the same as he did with the Packers.
Just as effective. And matter of fact, I got to drop a pun here, but let's just say that the refs were catching Kelce. They did catch Kelce. That's all I got to say. Let's move on.
I don't get that pun, but
you don't get it? He has that show, Catching Kelce.
Oh, yeah, his dating show. Yeah, I forgot the name. I didn't know the name of it.
I keep forgetting that exists until I
saw an episode of it, and I was like, oh, my Lord.
And I keep forgetting that exists until I see some girls tweet it on Twitter, and I'm like, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Then I realized, Travis Kelce's dating show. Oh, I forgot that even happened.
Don't forget that.
Oh, I forgot that happened. Oh.
All right, moving to the AFC East, and the Dolphins defeating the Jets in a very close game. Moving to 4-4 in favor of the Dolphins there, and the Jets dropped to 3-6, a 27-23 win there for Miami. Ryan Fitzpatrick again, 193, 1 and 2 interceptions. He did actually sustain an injury in this game as well.
I think he sprained
his MCL, I believe. Mm-hmm. It is not looked at as serious. Sprained MCL. It's not looked at as serious, but this definitely could have some effects as to the quarterback carousel, in a word, there. Bryce Petty did get some time, 2 for 19 yards, I think. Some plays there while he came out. We had a couple guys, quarterback-wise, leave the game for a short amount of time. Joe Flacco, I don't know if you saw that yesterday, he slid for a first down, and he legitimately broke his knee brace, and he had to hop to the sideline, and everybody's like, oh, my God, not Flacco again. And I'm like, it's his knee brace. Like, he's not hurt. You can't walk on it because it's probably going to cut into your leg or something. But he did, exit the game for a couple plays there, and then, of course, he returned. But he's still struggling, and so it'll be interesting to see if they just choose to, their season's done, 3-6. If they just choose to see what they have with Petty, and eventually maybe even Hackenberg.
Yeah, and what about the Dolphins winning 3 straight games? They look like a football team. They look like a really,
and they made it to 500.
They look like a football team now, and we would have thought that about a month ago.
Nah, I would have thought that when they destroyed the Steelers.
They have a really good running back over there in Jay Ajayi, who has emerged as probably a really top rusher in this league. And I know I was saying a lot, but we can't disregard what Ajayi has done.
Yeah, he didn't get 200 yards this time, but he sure got his yards at 111.
He got a touchdown, and that's saying a lot. And, with the running game that the Dolphins had, it helps out a lot of Ryan Tannehill. And this was actually the first time I actually saw the Dolphins win a game as a team.
Oh, yeah.
They won that game because of that punt return or kick return by Kenyon Drake, who I was actually a really good fan of coming out of Alabama, even though he was the backup to Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. But still, Alabama
more of a speedy guy.
Always produce those good running backs.
Yeah, they did. I mean, especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
We move to the next game, and that is a New York fellow team across the way of the Jets, even though they stay in the stadium. The Giants defeating the Eagles, who have just not figured it out since the bye week. They win this one 28-23. The Giants move to 5-3 on the year. Eagles drop to 4-4. Eli Manning, 4 touchdown passes, 2 of which went to Odell Beckham Jr. I know Jeremiah and I are happy about that because we have him on our fantasy team. 1 went to Sterling Shepard, and 1 went to Murphy the second or whatever his name. I forget the guy's name.
The third. I'm kidding.
Or junior. Sorry, it was. He's a
man. What's up with all these guys having seniors and juniors in the name? Oh my gosh.
Well, because they allowed you can do it now.
Why?
So, don't know. And actually, it was Roger Lewis. He's listed as Roger Lewis online, but it's Roger Lewis Jr. As a matter of fact. So be aware and be knowing it. Carson Wentz 364, but he did have 2 picks in the first half. As a matter of fact, they couldn't get much going consistently, and unfortunately dropped this one to the Giants and within the division as well. So that's a tough loss. The Lions move to 5-4 over the Vikings, who have lost 3 straight now, 22-16 in favor of Detroit. We had another late win from the Lions in favor of Matt Stafford. It's like, man, the guy just says, I don't want to put up numbers. I don't want to win until the fourth because we're trailing. They have trailed in the fourth quarter in every game this year at one point or another. Matt Stafford did put up decent numbers, 219-2 with a late touchdown there, going to Mr. Golden Tate, in which he got smoked flipping into the end zone. I don't know if he didn't realize somebody was there or what, but Anthony Sendejo just rolled him. And it was kind of funny to watch. But they win that one in overtime 22-16.
I would say Golden Tate disrespected like 3 people in that play, including the guy that hit him.
Because he hit him in his butt. He faced his, right into his butt.
Oh, man. What about the Vikings, man? Where have they gone? They look like from the class to the NFC to barely being a wild card team now.
Well, remember how I told you the reason I thought they were losing with the offense not staying on the field and stuff? I don't know. That wasn't necessarily the case this game. I mean, they were moving the ball at least, So people are just finding ways to attack their defense. I definitely think what I said still stands in a sense, tiring out that defense because the offense can't stay on the field. But they did stay on the field a little bit more yesterday, and they did get points, whether it was only 16. That's still not great, And it was your first game without, with your new offensive coordinator. There's still some things you would be working on, but it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I mean, they're still sitting at 5-3. They still control their own destiny in this sense. So it'll be interesting to see how they move forward.
I'm going to just say this: the Vikings are not the best team in the NFC. They were about a month ago. Not right now.
Not right now. We're talking about a team that was the best in the NFC last year that definitely is not this year. The Panthers defeat the Rams 13-10 in the game in which, leading into the season, week 1, people would have imagined this game would probably be a win for the Panthers, but in much different numbers. The Panthers win a close one. They scored 7 in the first, but did not score again until the fourth, and the Rams kept it close. Their defense played well. Case Keenum, 296-1. Not amazing from Keenum. He honestly probably should have had 2. Lance Kendricks dropped a wide-open touchdown in the end zone about halfway through that game, I think, maybe in the third. So struggles there for Keenum. Still not playing amazing, but enough to hold off Goff, I guess.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it's going to happen. It has to happen soon now. And that crowd at the Coliseum, they were chanting, "We want Goff."
They
we
certainly
want
do. It's because they went scoreless for 3, and that's a problem,
Yeah.
Any team look at that as an issue.
I just don't know what has to happen for Goff to see the field. And I understand that he's a rookie. But this is the guy that you drafted number 1 overall, who you expect to be your franchise guy. Like, do you really want him to sit out the entire year when your defense is pretty solid right now and you look like you're about to be a quarterback away? Do you really want to hold off him, your rookie quarterback? I know he's a rookie, but still, you're practically almost a quarterback away from being a pretty good team, because when we saw the Rams at the beginning of the year, their defense was pretty much the majority of the reason why they won these games, and the offense is kind of like a reason why they lost these games. I think it might be time for Goff, because I think that they're a quarterback and maybe a couple pieces of offense away, but you have to play your guy now. Like Jeff Fisher said, he doesn't want to go 7-9. 6-10.
8-8.
8-8. Well, you know what, Jeff Fisher? You're not, because you're going 4-12 or 5-11.
Well, they're 3-5 currently. They got to make some kind of change. I mean, they started the season well, but they definitely dropped some straight games. I'll tell you that. Now we're talking about a team that's dropped actually. How about 7 straight?
Oh no, don't go there.
We have to, because it's a game.
We do.
It's a game that we need to cover, and that would be the 49ers. And the 49ers lose another one, and this is probably one of the worst losses of the year. 41-23. They lose to the Saints. They moved to 1-7 on the year. The Saints moved to 4-4. They sit at 500 now, currently as it stands. Colin Kaepernick, not a bad day. 398-2 from him, but not to be outdone by Colin Kaepernick or Father Time. Drew Brees playing just like Drew Brees. 323-3 from him. 158 yards from Mark Ingram, who actually wasn't even the leading carrier in this game. That was Tim Hightower, who was 23 carries to his 15 for 87-1. Go ahead.
Imagine if Mark Ingram actually started this game, would have went for 300 yards.
Right, they ran
and
for
I had
a team
him on my
total.
and I had him on my fantasy team, and I always say on the fantasy show, always start your guys against the Browns and the Niners, and there you go.
That's very true.
And I started Dak Prescott and Mark Ingram. Boom. I won my league. 112 points, baby.
248 is a team from the Saints, not to mention there either. Michael Thomas, their rookie, 73 yards and 2 scores for him. He has to be the best rookie receiver of the lot so far this year. Most consistent, I would say. And, they're just finding ways to win. Colin Kaepernick loses another fumble. Dwan Harris lost another fumble. Mike Davis fumbled.
I actually like the way Dwan Harris
He played
ran.
well yesterday. He
I
played tough yesterday.
like the way he runs, and I really do think whenever Carlos Hyde ever gets healthy, I actually think they actually have an interesting tandem there in the backfield with Carlos Hyde and Dwan Harris.
Well, it's interesting. He didn't have an amazing day rushing, but receiving the
ball,
he's
good in the passing game, and I do think the
Put
Niners, Niners could have something there in the future if they happen to build around these guys. And Colin Kaepernick, he did have his best game of the season, but it was against a Saints defense that's been torched by everyone. And he had a hot start, but he just cools off. They just can't put anything together. And one more thing about the Niners, I think they're the first team in the NFL to allow a 100-yard rusher 7 straight games. No team has ever done that. No team has done that. So, and we talk about this a lot off the air about how the quarterback is an issue for the Niners, but I think whenever in the
there's
draft,
a lot more issues.
Well, there's a lot more interest, but I do think everything has to start up front. They need to build this defense.
Oh yeah, they do. They do because even with Bowman come back, unfortunately, man, it sucks to say, but he's old. He's getting up there.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away from the game anytime soon because he has 2 significant injuries.
Yeah, you can't blame him
in about 3 years. So
yeah. One before we move on to the last of the afternoon games, one impressive stat to me was Drew Brees hit 10 different receivers in this game. Yeah,
that was very impressive.
Very impressive. All right, and the last of the we have 2 more. I forgot.
3 more.
Well, 2 of the afternoon. Two of the last of the afternoon games. The Titans lose a close one to the Chargers in San Diego in favor of the Bolts, 43-35. Both of these teams moved to 4-5 on the year. Marcus Mariota played well, 313-3 for him. Melvin Gordon, 196-1. The guy's on fire. He has to be one of the best, year-to-year changes from bad rookie year to good rookie year.
Yeah, what a year we've
seen in a while.
He's emerging as a top running back in this league.
You look at a team when they have 208 total yards of rushing, and you're like, wow, that's a good team effort. Well, 196 of those came from one man.
Yeah.
So pretty good for them. Phillip Rivers playing well, still 275-2.
He came in the same year as Todd Gurley too.
Yeah, and he's playing better. Gurley had the good rookie year, but he's definitely having the better sophomore year. And then not great rushing numbers for the Titans. 80 yards as a team. But
Mariota played a heck of a game yesterday.
He did.
Too.
He had 3 touchdowns passing. He had 1 rushing. He did have 2 picks, 2 tough picks. One that was in a very, very nice interception, to say the least. Like I was like, oh, whoa, nice pick.
I think
one went for a pick 6, and the Casey Hayward one for 25 yards.
If the Titans continue to build their defense and happen to put some pieces around Mariota, I think this is going to be a good team in the future.
I do too. Yeah. I definitely think so. I think the defense needs some attention, but I think it can definitely be a good team. Now, we look at a game that I also thought was a very good interception in this game, and it was the Colts defeating the Packers 31-26 in favor of Indianapolis, moving to 4-5. 4-4 for the Packers. Andrew Luck, not bad, but he played really well when it mattered. 281, 1-2, but he had a couple really good late drives to ice the game. Aaron Rodgers 297.3 and that one interception being the interception I was speaking of. Darius Butler just dove in front of the ball. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Great. One of the best plays I've seen this weekend.
Mm-hmm. And HaHa Clinton-Dix had 2 picks in the first quarter, I think, as a matter of fact, if not just for the first half. But other than that, I mean, since those, Luck went on to play really well. And HaHa Clinton-Dix becomes the first player in Packers history since Charles Woodson to have 2 in the first quarter.
Yeah, and, we're talking about Drew Brees a little while ago. What about Frank Gore defeating Father Time right here? He played a heck of a game yesterday. And
yeah, Frank Gore, he had a total of 19 carries, 60 yards. Not amazing numbers, but 2 touchdowns and 2 solid touchdowns, to say the least. So,
yeah, what a year he is having. And he's not the same rusher that he used to be back in his days in San Francisco. But, man, I'm telling you right now, I think they miss him over there, and Gore does not.
I think he's okay with their.
I think he's okay where he's at right now.
Yeah, I think he's very okay with their. 4 wins?
Yeah,
he's okay with their 4 and 5. I mean, that's 3 more than his old team. So there you go.
And he's in a weaker division. So
by far. Yeah. I mean, not many people would have thought a weaker division would have existed outside the AFC South, but we found it, and it was the NFC West. And speaking of the West divisions, we're looking at the AFC West. To end the game, it looked like a weird game to me from the start because I'm not used to sitting on a Sunday night and seeing the Raiders play under the lights.
I'm not going to lie, it did look kind of abnormal to me too, but you know what? I realized, maybe this is good. This is good for the NFL. The Raiders are actually relevant again, and then the whole entire nation gets to watch what, basically people in our area have been witnessing for the majority of 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're really moving. They win this one 30-20 over the Broncos. They move to 7-2 on the year. They are definitely the first seed in the AFC West there, and they're definitely playing for a high seed in the playoffs.
I think, and I keep saying, Alex, I do think this team's for real, and I called it. I think
you did, but remember what I said too when they had issues early in the game with their defense. I was like, just wait for some of these young pieces to come into to like Carl Joseph. Wait for them to really get an idea of how to play with one another, and they played well last night.
And I finally, you know what? If they happen to pull wins like this at home, this team is going to be tough to beat at the Coliseum, not just on the road, but on the Coliseum. And when this team is good, and then when that crowd is electric, you better watch out. It's like playing at Seattle almost.
Yeah. One last thing I'll say before we get moving. There's a long-time saying, I think I mentioned on the show before, at least maybe to you. The saying is, when the Raiders are good, the NFL is better. One of those good old franchises, when the Raiders, the Steelers, the Cowboys, sometimes the Chiefs, the Packers, when they're good, the NFL is better. It's more entertaining to watch. And that we've seen that with the Raiders this year. If I'm a Raider fan, I still probably would rather play some playoff games on the road with how they're playing on the road, But last night was an impressive win.
I got one question to ask you. I wrote this on Facebook yesterday. Okay. I said we might be witnessing a Cowboys and Raiders Super Bowl in February. What do you think about that?
No.
I said we might. I didn't say it's going to happen. I said we might.
No, I think say the Raiders played the Patriots. I think the Patriots roll them. I think both offenses are strong. I think the Patriots have a better defense. So I don't think this is a playoff team.
Don't get me wrong. I do think the Patriots are the class of the league. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to bring that out there. I just wanted people to get talking, Yeah,
of course you did. Yeah, I definitely don't think I don't think they're a Super Bowl team yet.
The Raiders or the Cowboys?
Maybe even the Cowboys.
Maybe,
both have issues of defense, When you're a Super Bowl team, you look at the last few Super Bowl teams to win. Defense is not the weak point of those teams. The offense for the Broncos last year wasn't great, but they won that game. The year before, the Seahawks and the Patriots both had good defenses. So. You win Super Bowls when you have a good defense.
Not only that, the Raiders are a young team and they don't have much playoff experience, so I wouldn't be surprised if they happen to get rolled over. In January.
I don't know how it stands right now, but they would face, I think
they will, because they'll be the number 2 seed.
They would have a bye.
They'll have a bye.
And so I don't want to get into how it would look.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
But until then,
I just wanted to bring that question to you because it kind of started a conversation on my Facebook.
Not yet.
I had to bring it up though because these are the two teams. These are the 2 teams that people pay attention to, where I live at and kind of in California, basically. So.
Very true.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Cowboys are popular everywhere. So
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take our first break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk the Monday night game tonight between the Bills and the Seahawks in just a moment here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. It's time to talk Monday Night Football real quick. Sorry, I had like a hiccup. Monday Night Football there tonight between the Seahawks and the Bills at CenturyLink Field. Looks like it's going to be a Seahawk win in my opinion, but you know, we've been surprised before by some of these weekday games, you know, Monday and the Thursday night games. The Seahawks, you know, they're still struggling, especially on the injury side. You have Cam Chancellor out, cornerback DeAndre Elliott out, Thomas Rawls is still out. One of your tackles is questionable for this one. You know, you had Christine Michael, who's not playing as great as he has earlier in the year, and Russell Wilson's still a little iffy, honestly, with the way he's been playing.
Yeah, and I think the Seattle Seahawks will come out on top again because, one, they're playing at home. It's tough to play this team at home.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I'm kind of not sold on the Bills right now. And I said that they were for real earlier, but I kind of saw a little bit more of this team when they played a couple of tougher teams in their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically, they look like an 8-8 team to me right now.
The Bills?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's a perfect game for the Seahawks to get back on track. You know, after going in that 6-6 tie, this is a game that the Seattle Seahawks need to get back on track, and they're playing a pretty good defense, though. I might add.
The Seahawks, they're still not. They're not a pushover defense.
Exactly, they're not. So I think if the Seahawks get back on track offensively at home, I think this is the game that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely having a down year. You know, they're averaging about 18.7 points a game. They're still playing good defense. They're only about giving up about 15. The Bills have better numbers, at least offensively, averaging about 26 a game, allowing 21, though. So if their offense is finally going to break through, this might be the game to do it. You're looking at their total pass yards per game, 274. The rush yards are down more than they have been in a long time at 81. And total yards allowed, they are averaging about close to the same, about 300.5 on each side there. So it's going to be interesting to see who really wins out on this one. You know, the Seahawks have had a decently tough stretch lately. They lost to the Saints last weekend. They had their tie the week before that, and then a close win over Atlanta, 26-24. A kind of close win over the Jets, only by 10 points, 27-17. So, you know, they haven't been amazingly impressive this year, you know. They have that tie, which I should have thought should have been a loss. You know, they could be sitting at 4-3.
I think it could have been a win.
And I mean, obviously, you have them in certain ways, but somebody missed a close field goal first, and it wasn't the Seahawks.
Honestly,
you know, so.
I don't think the Cardinals or Seahawks deserve to win that game. That game deserved to be a tie once you look back on it. But anyways, enough about ties, because I hate ties, and you know that.
I know you do.
And I don't like talking about them. But anyway, let's move on from that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks make that late season run like we accustomed to seeing.
I hate it, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again. You know, this is a team that's been there before. They've been to the playoffs. They've been to 2 Super Bowls. I wouldn't be surprised if they happen to go in there. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if they get hot right now when they really need it to be. And this is a down year for Russell Wilson. After being handed the keys to the offense, he looks like the guy from his rookie year right now.
He played well his rookie year. He's hurt right now.
But he didn't get a lot. He has like 5 touchdowns, you know. He was like
to 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm. He's playing. He has like a game manager stats right now. And Russell Wilson's better than a game manager. He's a guy that can actually win you games. And then the Seahawks rushing game has not been the same. I know Christine Michael had a couple games here and there, but he's kind of slowed down a little bit, which I kind of thought would happen. Thomas Rawls is hurt after a pretty good
year last year for the most part, looking like he was going to take over the
I think if Thomas Rawls comes back, I think they got something in Michael and Rawls there. I do think the passing game needs to improve. Doug Baldwin has not looked like the same guy from late last season. Hasn't carried
I'd say
over.
the offense hasn't necessarily looked the same, so it's really affecting everybody.
I think they are going to get back on track in this game, and I think it's going to start tonight against the Bills, against a pretty good defense. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills make this game competitive because, they can rush the ball. We've seen it this entire year, what LaShawn McCoy has done, and I do think the X factor in this game for the Bills will be Tyrell Taylor.
Oh, definitely. Uh-huh.
And he's been really, really good game manager, but he's kind of had some games where he has kind of took over in a way. Going back, a couple weeks with the Niners and a couple other games after that. But if Tyrell Taylor plays well, then the Bills should have no problem, making this game competitive and possibly winning this game at CenturyLink Field, and it's hard to do. That's hard to do.
I mean, currently the Seahawks are 3-0 at home. I mean, it's always hard for people to win there. And as it stands, Tyrod Taylor actually has better numbers in terms of touchdowns than Russell Wilson, 9-2 interceptions, as Russell Wilson has 5-2. So one of them's playing a little bit better, and it'll be interesting to see. But we're picking Seahawks in this one, yeah?
Yep.
All right, so we're going Seahawks. And, of course, we'll talk about it tomorrow when we get back at the Golden State Media Concepts football podcast. There it is. But until then, we're going to take our last break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk college football. And the AP polls, they're not as significant now that the college football playoff polls are out, but we're going to talk about them. And, of course, tomorrow we'll probably preview what we see the college football playoff poll rankings week 2. I think they're going to look like. So we'll do that real quick here at the Golden State Media Concepts football podcast, and we'll be right back.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. And to end the episode real quick, we're going to talk some college football. Just some scores, mainly in the top 10. We're going to talk top 10 here in this segment, in kind of, not top 10, but top 25 in the way the games ended this week. So let's talk some of those because there were some upsets. Oklahoma defeated Iowa State 34-24. UCLA lost to Colorado. Colorado was ranked 15th. They are playing well. Still, Boise State had a stomping of San Jose State. Alabama, in kind of a boring game, honestly, defeated LSU.
I think we kind of expected this.
Yeah, 10-0. The game was zeros going into the fourth until a touchdown run by Jalen Hurts.
Which
and then a field
looked
goal.
like could be holding, by the way.
I know, right?
Almost that touchdown probably should have never happened, but that's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You had a huge win on Clemson over Syracuse, 54-0. Michigan doing just as well, 59-3. Texas A&M, the number 4 team in the AP, or at least the college football playoff poll. I'm sorry, I couldn't clear my throat. They lost to Mississippi State, 35-28 in a game that Trevor Knight went out. He was injured, but this wasn't Mississippi State from last year. There's no Dak Prescott in this one. He was playing on Sunday. They lost this game, and it was tough. It was a tough loss. They are dropping out of that college football playoff.
They are. There's no way they're getting back to it now.
A week after jumping into the top 4, they are falling out.
I don't think this team is going to go back to the top 4 after this loss. One of the weak links of the SEC, Mississippi State, that is, because they're not even bowl eligible yet.
Yeah, no, they moved to 4-5 on the year.
Yeah, so they got 2 more wins to be bowl eligible, but I don't see Texas A&M, because of this loss, I don't really see them going back to top 4.
They won't make it. Nope,
I don't see it.
Washington, who might have the possibility of moving into this 4 this week, won 66-27 over Cal. Jake Browning, 6 touchdown scores. I'd say if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson, Jake Browning would definitely be a Heisman favorite. We look at Ohio State beating number 10 ranked Nebraska, probably the better matchup in terms of ranked opponents one would look at coming into the week. And how about no? 62-3 in favor of Ohio State, a complete drumming, and potentially we could see them jump into the 4th spot instead of Washington this week.
I think it might happen.
Yeah, Ben and I talked about it also. We'll talk about it tomorrow a little bit more in depth, of course. Louisville 52-7 over Boston College. Another amazing day from Lamar Jackson. He was responsible for 7 touchdowns, 4 passing, 3 on the ground, 185 yards there rushing, 231 passing. The man is on fire. We look at Wisconsin defeating Northwestern. Not an amazing game, 21-7 in favor there of the Badgers. Auburn defeating Vanderbilt, 23-16. Florida losing to Arkansas, 31-10. Unfortunately, Florida, they dropped out of the top 11. I think they dropped in the AP poll to like 20. Looking at Iowa, they lost to Penn State, 41-14. Penn State was ranked 12 in the rankings last week, and they're probably going to be higher in the college football playoff rankings, and it's only making that loss that much stronger for Ohio State.
Which could influence the rankings tomorrow night.
Exactly, that's what I mean, yeah. TCU defeated Baylor in a game that had a lot going on outside of the game of football. I'm not going to get into, but Baylor just got it handed to him, 62-22. Oklahoma State defeats Kansas State, 43-37, in a pretty close game there. Virginia Tech defeats Duke, 24-21, in also a close game. Kansas loses to West Virginia, 48-21. North Carolina over Georgia Tech, 48-20. Excuse me. Florida State, probably going to move up on a few countdowns, maybe a little bit. Defeats NC State, 24-20. And personally, my favorite game of the weekend was Washington State defeating Arizona, 69-7 behind Luke Falk's 311 yards and 4 scores. Not to mention 4 touchdowns from their running game, and they are ranked 23 now. So I'm living a happy life.
Washington State is 6-0 in Pac-12.
Yes, they are. There's only one other team in the Pac-12 that is 6-0, and that is Washington.
And we're going to see those teams face off in about a couple weeks here in Apple Cup.
3 weeks, yes, sir.
3 weeks.
And I'm sorry, 3 rushing touchdowns.
And I think that's one of the games I'm looking forward to right now. If these two teams stay undefeated, I think that's going to be a heck of a game. It's going to be a heck of a ball game to watch. Even regardless if the Huskies are ranked in the college football playoff rankings or not, I still think it's going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah, I definitely think if they keep winning, it'll have to be. But we'll, of course, talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. And, yeah, it's going to be a great game to watch. I mean, we had some great games this weekend. But needless to say, it's time to take a break from the show for 24 hours. And we'll be back tomorrow, of course, to talk college football playoff rankings week 2, talk tonight's Monday Night Football game, and anything and everything else in between. We would like to thank you for listening. Anthony will be back on Wednesday. Jeremiah and I will be back tomorrow. And we'd like to thank you, as always, for showing up and sitting here with us and talking the talk. For Anthony, I am Alex.
I'm Jeremiah.
And we will see you guys tomorrow. You guys enjoy some football. And we will talk then.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.